Well, good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your financial market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for the evening of Tuesday, the 8th of October, 2025. And we're about 6:55 p.m. Central Time. A lot going on. You saw today that Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, was in the States talking with Trump. The question is, what can they get done? Will there be another USMCA? Will there be separate deals? I haven't the slightest idea, and they're really not telling us too much. The good news is they're getting along, and I think that's important. There was a huge aluminum fire today. I don't know if you're going to read about it. It's in my newsletter, but it's one of the country's largest makers of that. And it's hurting. It's going to hurt a lot of companies because this thing could take months before the plant is ready again. And our auto manufacturers count on a lot of that aluminum. There's other sources here, but I'm telling you, it's a big plant and a big problem that occurred. That's sort of like the copper, as we've seen those problems around the world where copper production got hurt. We did see intraday corrections that were fairly sizable in the metals, but they all came back, not to gains, but they've stabilized. We're starting to get a bit of a correction in the stock market. You know, after 6-7 days of just gain, the real problem is, how do you get in? If you want to buy and you buy up here and you get a correction, believe me, it's painful. You don't know how long you're waiting to get back to even. When you take a look at what's going on in the energy market, a bit of a rally, nothing major, but a bit of a rally. We'll see that. Bonds and notes sort of flat. Interest rates aren't breaking. They're not going up. Different companies have been coming out with ideas as to how they are viewing the market. And some of them are saying there would have only been about a 17,000 job creation, not the 54,000 that the Bloomberg survey thought would have been in the last report. The Mortgage Bankers Association, their weekly U.S. market update will come out at 6 in the morning. The petroleum stocks are going to come out at 9:30. The Federal Reserve notes, the FOMC meeting notes, will be out at 1 o'clock. And if you take a look at U.S. consumer credit, which came out at 2 today, what did the consumer do? They yanked in. They're not spending as much. They've really cut the numbers down dramatically. I applaud that. The question is why, and that's what none of us know at this point in time. So it's something we have to think about. When we look at the S&P for a change, going into the third day of the week, we're down 0.06%. Last week it was every day was up. When you take a look at the market, you see the outside day that just happened. So if you take out the highs of Tuesday, that gets the market up and going again. Until that's taken out, a pause might have taken place in the market. You still see how the market is acting here. You still have the pattern of higher lows, higher highs. The market, if it corrects, might be going back to that 67.22 area, the 18-day average of closes. Where's it pausing? At the upper Bollinger Band again. And in terms of momentum, it's still up, but it's fighting. If you end up closing under 79 tomorrow, the odds favor first, how much under the 18-day average would you be if that happened? If it's literally on it, I don't look for much damage. If it's well under it, then you might open the door for a quick run, maybe to even the lower Bollinger Band. When we look at the Dow Jones Industrial, same thing, but not losing an embedded reading. A lot of resistance at the upper Bollinger Band, trying to break down. Momentum not up there. Momentum not up in the Russell. You have the bias up. You're pulling back to the 18-day average over and over for a fight. In the DAX, yesterday when we talked, I said, you're 2 days over. Be careful. These markets don't like to stay over that. And that's what's going on. I look for support on the break. Maybe you can even develop an embedded reading. It's a little early to see that. When we look at the 10-year notes, we have a higher high and a lower low, and you can see how the market is just fighting here, the 18-day average of closes. The same goes with the 2-year notes. When we take a look at the dollar index, higher lows into the upper Bollinger Band, which is where the resistance should be, I would look for support on pullbacks around the 97.37 area, the 100-day average. And the euro should have broke on the news as the dollar went up, and it's exactly what it did. And this is the key part of it. The market is now down to the 100-day average of closes in the Bollinger Band. Is that going to hold, or is it going to let go from here? That's the big question. In the Aussie dollar, the market reversed course. Now, yesterday, this market had itself an interesting pattern. It was trying the upside, then it reversed down today, an outside day down. That killed any reversal in the market. You might get further play here, even down to this level. But you'd have to take out the highs of Tuesday in order to get this market going anywhere. Next in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's made new record highs, a bit of a correction, never did embed. I can still argue for a pullback into the 117 area. Why not? That's the 18-day average. I said this is a feeble rally in energy. I think you're going to have a lot of trouble up here at the 18-day average of closes in the 100-day. The market is oversold, so I can make an argument for a bounce. I still see an oversold here. I'm looking for the same resistance at the same two averages here. In the heating oil, oversold. I can make an argument for the 18-day average as a bounce, not a trend trade in all of them. Then we get over to natural gas, which has been the most bullish one. It is fighting a battle. It's been doing it now 3 days in a row at the upper Bollinger Band. It's overbought. On the first rally there, I thought the pros would come out. They've really not given up anything. The market has just sort of stalled. So if you want to keep up with things I do and how I do them and where we're at on it, just go to iraepstein.com. If you go to the word research, you can find out how you can join me with my morning videos, my twice daily written updates, where the specific buy and sell recommendations come in from me as I guide my clientele. You have yourself a great evening. Hope you watch the other videos, and I'll see you in the morning at the Morning Flash Update.